Hi and Assalamualaikum. Our group consists of 4 members, which are Muhammad, Farhan, Danial bin Shamsuddin, Muhammad AIMAN NURHAFIZ bin NAZARUDDin, ARIFF bin AZAHAR, and myself, Muhammad AKRAM bin MUHAMAD HANAFIAH. And we will be presenting segmental reporting and interim report of Top Glove Berhad.
Top Glove was known as the world's largest manufacturer of gloves, was headquartered in Malaysia and established in 1991. The company was founded by none other than Tan Sri Dr. Lee Chai, with only one production line and number of staff comprised of 100 people. Since then, Top Glove have commanded 26% of the world market share. Top Glove are listed on the Malaysian Bourse and the main board of the Singapore Exchange. Top Glove are also named to the Forbes Global 2000 list in 2021, making it the only Malaysian glove company on the prestigious list. Now, let's move on to product and services. Top Glove is an investment holding company. Top Glove offers a comprehensive product range that now includes a non-glove segment. Top Glove continues to produce high-quality gloves at a low cost in accordance with its time-tested business direction. As a result, it continues to broaden its business scope and seek M&A opportunities. Their manufacturing facilities are in Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, and China, as well as marketing office in the United States, Germany, and Brazil, and export to over 2,000 customers in 195 countries around the world. To be a world-class partner in glove and healthcare product is the company vision that always been held high by them. Their mission is to ensure safe human population around the world. Their business strategy is to consistently produce high-quality gloves at low cost, earn $250 and spend one efficient dollar. Now embodying their quality policy, which state 1. Quality and productivity are our business. 2. Our responsibility include continuous improvement and innovation. 3. Our goal is to achieve zero defect. 4. We are responsible for adhering to customer and regulatory requirements. Respect, integrity, value, and empowerment are prioritized in Top Glove. Finally, ethics, dishonesty, integrity, and transparency. Factors to consider having segment report. The first one is nature of business of activity. An entity may produce a report that presents its business activity in a variety of ways. If the chief operating decision maker uses more than one set of segment information, other factors such as the nature of each component business activity, the existence of nature responsible for them, and information presented to the board of directors may identify a single set of components as constituting an entirety operating segment. The second is existence of manager responsible for the activities. In general, an operating segment has a segment manager who reports directly to the chief operating decision maker and maintain regular contact to discuss operating activities, financial results, forecast, or plan for the segment. For some operating segments, the chief operating decision maker may also be the segment manager. The third one is information presented to the BOD. The characteristic may apply to two or more overlapping set of components for which managers are held accountable. This structure is also known as the matrix form of organization. The chief operating decision maker reviews the operating result of set of components on a regular basis, and financial information for both is evaluated. Top Glove also provides segmentation report on the operating segment in the annual report. According to MFRS 8, operating segment requires the entity to disclose information to enable users of its financial statement to evaluate the nature and financial effect of the business, activities in which it engages, and the economic environment in which it operates. The term Chief Operating Decision Maker identifies a function not necessarily of a person with a specific title. That function is to allocate resources and assess the performance of the operating segment of an entity. The title SCODM is not relevant as long as it is the person responsible for making strategic decisions about the entity segment. Besides that, Chief of Decision Making carries the duty to review the performance and in determining how resources should be allocated. For a component to be an operating segment, the financial information about the operating result of the component should be sufficiently detailed to enable the CODM to make decisions about resources to be allocated and to assess its performance.
Next, we proceed to the section C, which is the process of identification of operating segments. According to the MFRS 8, MFRS 8 defines an operating segment as a component of an entity that engages in the revenue-earning business activities whose operating results are regularly being reviewed by the CODM, which is known as the Chief Operating Decision Maker, for which discrete financial information is available. Reportable statements are business statements for which the information required by MFRS 8 to be disclosed separately in determining the reportable segments. The management will be required to use two judgments, which is the 10% threshold test and 75% threshold test. 10% threshold test will be consist of three bases, which is the reported revenue basis, reported profit or loss basis, and last is the reported asset basis, in which these three tests it needs to reach 10% or more to be considered as reportable segments and to be disclosed separately. Top Glove Berhad is using revenue basis in measuring its operating segments and will be reported separately. If the reported revenue, which are the sales to the external customer and the inter-segment sales, reach 10% or more of the combined revenue of all operating segments. After completing the 10% threshold test, the entity are required to do the 75% threshold test. In this test, the external revenue of the reportable segments must be 75% or more of its total revenue. However, if the external revenue of the reportable segments is less than 75%, then additional reportable segment must be reported until it reaches the threshold requirement. The additional segments is identified and reported even if it does not meet the 10% threshold test. As we can see, the original segment revenue, there are only two reportable segments and two non-reportable segments. The operating segments of Malaysia and Thailand are the reportable segments that falls under 10% threshold test, which results of 80% and 14.5% respectively. Meanwhile, China and others does not qualify for reportable segments because the results is just less than 10% and are to be combined together and disclosed under all other segments category. In order to meet the requirement of 4 reportable segments and a minimum of 1 non-reportable segments, the management of Top Glove has come up with a new operating segments. As stated on the screen, there are additions of 3 new operating segments, which are Philippines, Vietnam, and Japan. With these new operating segments, now Top Glove Berhad has 4 reportable segments, which are Malaysia, Philippines, Vietnam, and Japan, with results of 42%, 11%, 20%, and 24% respectively. And there are 3 non-reportable segments of Thailand, China, and others with a result of less than 10% threshold test, which is 8%, 0%, and 2% respectively. After determining the reportable segments, the entity should ensure that the total external revenue must exceed the 75% threshold test of its total revenue. Therefore, after computing the figure into the formula, the Top Glove has come up with a result of 88%, which is more than the 75% threshold test. Since the combined external revenue of operating segments is more than the 75% of the total revenue, there will be no additional operating segments are required.
Briefly to conclude, our company uses segment reporting to document the performance of each segment of the business. The key advantage of segment reporting is transparency. For businesses that operate like Top Glove, segment reporting can reveal which areas are profitable and which are drains on the bottom line. Next, segment reporting also helps the shareholder of Top Glove to get a clearer understanding of the fluctuation that could impact overall figures. One of the disadvantages of segment is emphasis on the present. Segment reporting may rely too heavily on short-term figures. For an instance, a company uses the short-term figures and ignore the long-term figures to report their segments. Then, the other disadvantages is manipulation of the data. Segment reporting is used for data manipulation. If the information is published to management lifestyle, this gives company leader more discretion as how to decide how segments are constructed and what metrics are published.
Hello, Assalamualaikum. My name is ARIFF bin AZAHAR, and now I will be presenting part B for question A, B, and C.
As
As for question A, the basis of preparation of the interim financial report for the quarter ended 31st August 2022 is unaudited and has been prepared in accordance with the Malaysian Financial Reporting Standards, MFRS 134 of Interim Financial Reporting, and paragraph 9.22 of the listing requirements on Bursa Malaysia Securities Berhad. This interim financial report should be read in conjunction with the audited financial statements of the group for the financial year ended 31st August 2021. The financial statements were also prepared on a historical basis except for the adoption of few amendments of the MFRS, but which are immaterial. Financial statements also were prepared in ringgit and all values were rounded to the nearest thousand except indicated otherwise. As for question B of the accounting policies used, as stated earlier, this interim financial report is prepared in accordance with the MFRS Malaysian Financial Reporting Standards. The significant accounting policies and method of computations adopted in preparation of this interim financial report are consistent with those adopted in the audited financial statements of the group for the financial year ended 31st August 2021, except for the following amendments of few MFRS, which are amendments to MFRS 9, MFRS 139, MFRS 7, MFRS 4, and etc. So, what exactly are the accounting policies used by Top Glove, you may ask? Firstly, the acquisition method. For example, business combinations are accounted for using the acquisition method. The cost of an acquisition is measured as the aggregate of the consideration transferred, which means measured at acquisition date, fair value, and the amount of any non-controlling interest in the acquiring. Next, the accounting policies used is initial recognition. Intangible assets acquired separately are measured on initial recognition at cost. The cost of intangible assets acquired in a business combination is their fair value at the date of acquisition. Following this initial recognition, intangible assets are carried at cost less any accumulated depreciation or amortization and accumulated impairment loss. Now we move on to question C, which is the types of interim report. As we all know, Top Glove prepares its accounts quarterly, which consists of 4 quarters. The first quarter starts from 1st September to 30th November, and the second quarter starts from 1st December to 28th February. The third quarter starts from 1st March to 31st May, and finally the fourth quarter starts from 1st June to 31st August. The interim reports prepared by Top Glove consist of 5. Firstly, condensed consolidated statement of profit or loss. Condensed consolidated statement of comprehensive income. Thirdly, condensed consolidated statement of financial position. Fourth, condensed consolidated statement of changes in equity. And fifth, finally, condensed consolidated statement of cash flow. Top Glove also prepares notes to the interim financial statements as a form to explain its financial statements.
Next, I will be presenting the period for the current and comparative of each statement prepared by the company. Since Top Glove Berhad prepared their interim report quarterly, our group will choose the fourth quarter ended 31st August 2022. So first, we will take a look at statement of financial position. For the current, the date will be ended on 31st August 2022. Meanwhile, for the comparative, the date will be an immediately preceding financial year of having 12 months period, which is 31st August 2021. The second statement is statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income. For the current, on quarterly is 3 months period starting from 1st June 2022 until 31st August 2022. And for the cumulative is 12 months period starting from 1st September 2021 until 31st August 2022. Meanwhile, for the comparative is also 3 months period starting from 1st June 2021 until 31st August 2021 and followed by the cumulative of 12 months period starting from 1st September 2020 until 31st August 2021. The last two statements are statement of cash flow and statement of changes in equity for the current period are the same, which will be ended on 31st August 2022. On the other hand, for the comparative, it will be ended on 31st August 2021. For the last questions, we need to propose two adjustments by the company to be included in the interim report. So, the first adjustment is inventory. As at 31st August 2022, the cost of inventory are 564 million and 16,000 ringgit Malaysia, whereas the net realizable value is 420 million 830,000 ringgit Malaysia. So, in order to determine the value of inventories, it must be stated at the lower of cost and NRV. Since the NRV is less than the cost of inventories, therefore, the value of inventories as at 31st August 2022 is 420 million and 830,000 ringgit Malaysia. For the second adjustment, we will take a look at trade and other receivables. As at 31st August 2022, the gross amount is amounting to 236 million and 81,000 ringgit Malaysia, and the estimated collectible rate is 85%. So the amount to be reported is 200,668,850 ringgit Malaysia. Last but not least, as we can see, this is the extract of statement of financial position as at 31st August 2022 before and after adjustments for top glove Berhad. That's all from us. Thank you for lending your ears. Goodbye everyone and have a nice day.